Chapter 17, Environmental Issues, the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation, and Liability Act. Now that's a mouthful. Created in 1980 by the United States Congress, its main function is to take lands that have been contaminated, have them cleaned, and put back into service. The potentially responsible person is that person or company that can be identified as the one that's responsible for the contamination. There is an environmental due diligence that typically will keep people safe when they're purchasing commercial properties and actually any kind of property. That environmental due diligence includes 4 phases. Phase 1 assessment simply does a title search to determine who have been the title holders and could they have contaminated the property. If it shows that someone in the chain of title has had that ability, then they're going to go into the phase 2, 3, and 4, which has to do with underground testing. Now, what are some of the environmental hazards that we have to deal with? Asbestos is a product that we used at one time to wrap pipes mainly to make sure that hot water pipes would retain the heat as the water ran from one end of a building to the other. It was also used in kitchens and floors, sidings on houses. The thing about asbestos is that it contains a material that if airborne and ingested can cause serious lung problems. Now, as long as it has not become airborne, it doesn't seem to be a problem. Radon gas is an odorless, colorless gas that's found in the subsurface that comes up through the cracks in floors. Some areas of Florida have more problems than others, but it's certainly something that a buyer has the right to have tested. One other thing is lead-based paint. We talked earlier about lead-based paint. Prior to 1978, many homes were painted that had lead in the paint. And what that was basically supposed to do was to protect the wood, or to protect whatever the material was that it was painted over. Come to find out, lead is extremely toxic. And so therefore today, homes that are built prior to 1978, buyers and tenants have at least get a notice that it could be lead-based paint, but only a buyer has the right to have it inspected. And that's about all we have for Chapter 17. That was a small chapter. And so what I want to do now is review those important areas of that particular chapter. A person who could be liable for contaminated site cleanup is known as a potentially responsible person. Persons may be held harmless through the innocent landowner defense, provided certain safety procedures are applied, including environmental due diligence. Phase 1 assessment identifies previous owners that may have been the responsible party for the contamination. Environmental hazards include asbestos, radon gas, and lead-based paint. And that's our summary for Chapter 17.